Hi everyone, this tutorial is a continuation of my Forge and Flux series. I'll be showing you how to install and use Loras inside of Forge with Flux. Think of a Lora as a way to change the style of an image. They are super awesome to use, so let me show you how to do this. So in order to access Loras, you'll see that there's a tab over here called Lora. So if you select that, you are not going to be seeing anything over here because you obviously don't have any Loras installed. So I want to explain what a Lora is in the most simplest terms. So think of a Lora as an expansion pack. It's a way to change the style of an image with a very specific data set that it's been trained on. For instance, I've got a Lora over here that can generate images in the style of claymation or comic books or even a doorbell cam. But the awesome thing about Loras is that you can even train a Lora on someone's likeness. So this really comes in handy for character consistency, because if I use this Lora, I'm always going to get an image that's going to feature this person in it. So that really comes in handy. So the best website that I've discovered to find Loras is Civet AI. So you can either type in civetai.com or in this case civetai.green, then go ahead and sign in. Once you've signed in, since I'm going to be using Flux in this tutorial, I want to filter by Flux. So I'm going to click on filters over here, select Lora and then select Flux.1. This would be for the dev model, or you can select for Schnell as well. Now you want to make sure you click on models so that this page loads, and it's going to show you a whole bunch of Loras over here that are trained specifically to be used with Flux. So you can obviously scroll on this page. You can see there's Loras that can generate images in the style of anime, even images that look like they've been taken with a digital camera from 1999, cinematic shots, amateur photography. I mean, the community over here is incredible, and they create all sorts of Loras that you can use. So if you find a Lora that you like over here, obviously click on it. In this case, let's use one of my own Loras. So I've trained a Lora on the Mona Lisa, a realistic Mona Lisa. So if you check the link in the description, it will bring you over to this page, and you can just use this to test with, all right? So when you go over to this page, especially with Loras, there's two important things you need to take notice of over here. Number one, pay attention to the description, because the creators are always going to mention certain things about the Lora, like what would be the ideal strength for the Lora for the best results, or the trigger words, which is very important because a trigger word is what's used in order to get the style of this Lora to actually work. You can also find the trigger word on the right hand side, and I'll show you if I click on another Lora over here, like maybe this realistic aesthetic poses. You'll see on the right hand side we've got the trigger words that allow this Lora to work, but always pay attention to what the creator has written over here in the description, and then obviously pay attention to the trigger words themselves. But let's go back to the Mona Lisa Lora. So if you find a Lora that you like, obviously you want to go ahead and download this. So just click on this icon over here to download the Lora, and then just save it to your desktop. So with this particular Lora, its use case is to obviously generate character consistency. You're always going to get a realistic Mona Lisa. But another cool thing about Civet AI, if you go down to the bottom, you can see images that have been generated by the creator or the community. And if you click on that image, you'll see on the right hand side over here, you can actually see the prompt that was used to generate this image. So you could even copy this prompt by clicking on this, and we can use that same prompt in Forge. But before we do that, let's obviously get this Lora installed in Forge, and then we can start using it. So just make sure, like I mentioned earlier, go ahead and download it, and then let's install it. So this tutorial is based off my previous video where I installed Forge with Flux in Pinocchio. So this is going to be the folder structure, but in order to install a Lora, you have to put it in a Lora folder, which is usually located in the models folder. But in this case, so we've got Pinocchio. I'm going to go to API, and then here is the Stable Diffusion Web UI Forge folder. You want to click on that, go into app, and then go into models, right? So this is probably the most important folder. You go into models, and then over here we'll have a Lora folder. So just open that. Now you won't have anything in this folder because you don't have any Loras, but here's the Lora I downloaded from Civet AI. So just drag and drop it in here, and then we can go back to Forge, right? Once you've dragged and dropped it in there, I'm actually going to open up Forge where it was open previously in my web browser. To open Forge in your web browser, in case you don't have it open, just click on pop out, and then we'll actually open it in the web browser. And this is definitely the best way to use Forge, is to use it within the web browser like this. Alright, so now we want to click on the Lora tab and then just click on refresh. And as soon as you click on refresh, you should see a Lora over here, which is actually going to be called the real Mona Lisa Flux Lora. So what I tend to do from the start whenever I install a Lora, if I hover over the Lora, you'll see this icon. So click on that. By default, you won't have anything written in the activation text. So what I tend to do is I'll always go back to Civet AI and find the trigger word. So over here, this will be the trigger word for this Lora. You can copy that. Then when you go back to Civet AI, just paste it over here. And that means every time I click on this Lora to use it, it's automatically going to insert the trigger word, which means it's always going to generate the image in that style. If you want to, under notes, you can maybe even go back to the Lora page. And I tend to, whatever the creator has, mentioned over here in this section, I tend to just copy all of this, right? And then back on the Lora over here, I'll just paste it in notes. It's just a quick way for me to access what was written on Civet AI. And in this case, I actually included prompts that you can use over here. Once you've done that, just click on save so it saves those settings. And let's actually try this Lora right now. So before we actually insert our Lora and generate an image, there is something I want to explain regarding these models over here. And these are all models I downloaded in the first part of this tutorial series. So I will be explaining the settings that need to be enabled here to make sure the Lora actually works. So if you guys are using the Flux Dev FP8 version, you don't need to change any of these settings. You can select that, you can insert the Lora and write a prompt, and then you can click on generate. Alright, if you guys are using the NF4 version, all you need to do is change diffusion in low bits to automatic FP16 Lora. That's the only change you need to make, and then you can click on generate. If you guys are using the Schnell version, the same thing applies. You need to make sure that automatic FP16 Lora is enabled, and then you'll be able to generate an image. If you guys are using this Q2GUF version for more low-end hardware, you need to make sure this is also enabled. But you need to add something additional over here under the VAE. You'll need to enable AE Safe Tensors, ClipL, and FP8, and then you'll be able to generate an image. But for the rest of this tutorial, I will be using the FP8 version. So I'll just revert to the original settings. All right, now we'll be able to go ahead and insert our Lora and generate an image. So to use this Lora, you literally just click on it. And if you go to the section over here by text to image, you can see it's inserted the Lora. Right, it's got the Lora name and everything. It's got the weight or the strength of the Lora. So some Loras work better on a strength of 1, some work better on 0.8. This one works best on 1.5. So this is where you'd actually change the strength of the Lora. And then over here, this is the trigger word, and you can see it's been inserted automatically. So now I can already start typing something like wearing a red jacket in a mountainous region, and my spelling is atrocious over there. Okay, we're in a red jacket in a mountainous region, and then if I go to generation, I can just click on generate and then let it generate that image. So there we go, we've got our realistic Mona Lisa in a mountainous region, and the character is always going to look like this because that's how the Lora was trained, so it's perfect for character consistency. Remember to play around with the strength value. If sometimes you feel like Loras are looking really odd, you might have to decrease this value. And again, like I said, you edit it over here. So if I wanted this to be on 1, I literally just remove the 0.5, or I can say 0.8, 0.5, 0.4, whatever. But I'm going to leave this on 1.5 because that's the best setting for this specific Lora. You can also use a Lora in conjunction with another Lora, but I would only recommend using 2 at once. Once you start using more than 2, things start looking strange. And keep in mind that some Loras don't work well with other Loras, so you will have to experiment. In this case, you can see I'm using the Mona Lisa Lora, and then I'm using another Lora over here that gives me this, this old school vintage aesthetic. So it's called the old-timey Lora. And the way that I've prepared it over here, so you can see I've put the Mona Lisa Lora, and then I've specified in the Mona Lisa Lora that she's wearing a white dress. And then when I inserted the second Lora, it's just using the trigger word and there's no other text involved. By the way, the order of these Loras, whether this one's first or this one's second, doesn't matter. But the strength, I feel like, does play an important role. If one of your Loras has a stronger strength value than the other, the Lora is going to be influenced more by that particular Lora. Okay, in this case, a value of 1 and 1.5 seems to still work pretty well. It's not getting completely overpowered by the super realistic Mona Lisa Lora, but it's still inserting her likeness into this image using the aesthetic of that vintage Lora as well. So you can see these two work very well together. Alright, so that's the end of this tutorial. Now you guys know how to use Loras, and the possibilities for combining Loras is endless. But like I mentioned, some Loras don't really work well with other Loras. But experiment, have fun, and start generating some images using Loras. Right, so you guys are super awesome. Thank you so much for the support on this channel. Stay tuned for some more videos and tutorials, and goodbye.